Yamamoto was like, the battle will come in the winter. But Tite Kubo was like, you know nothing. Winter is already here. And here we are. After our characters trained for only a month, the battle against the Arancars is coming much sooner than we expected. I loved that Kubo lulled me into a false sense of security, thinking that our characters would actually have more time to prepare and grow. I kind of expected a full-blown training arc, to be honest, but that isn't at all what we ended up with. The suddenness of the attack was part of what made it so effective, honestly. It's easy to just take characters' words and beliefs as gospel, but forget that the other characters have their own plans and their own thoughts, and Aizen certainly had his own timetable for when this was going to take place. But that seems to be how Aizen's operating with all of this. He's working on information that the other characters aren't even aware of. The Soul Society doesn't even know about this loophole that Aizen found with the Hogyakyu, and him being able to awaken more of its power much sooner than expected. It was interesting to actually get to see a little bit of the process as Aizen finishes making a new Arankar, along with being introduced to a couple of new characters, seeing some familiar ones, and getting just the smallest hints of ones that I'm sure we will inevitably meet lingering in the shadows. I've really been enjoying the personal relationships between these characters, whether it's Ukiura and Yami's conversations, Aizen's manipulation of his own troops, or Grimmjow's just general rebelliousness. The Arancars are proving to be a very interesting and varied group of characters, and Kubo's doing a fantastic job giving us very different kinds of antagonists to go up against. And that side of the Bleach universe is being fleshed out pretty well for me. I kind of expect by the end of all of this, Hueco Mundo and the Arancars will be pretty similarly as established as Soul Society is now in my brain, because Kubo is great at world building, and he just continues to show that with all these varied and interesting characters that he keeps bringing into the mix. Anyway, the last time our heroes faced the Arancars, it took a lot out of them, and these Arancars are even more powerful than those ones because we're dealing with the Espada. We had met a few of the Espada so far. Grimmjow was the first one I think that was confirmed to be part of the Espada from what I remember. He was number 6. And it turns out Ukiura and Yami, who showed up before, are also part of the Espada as well. With Yami being number 10, and I'm trying to remember off the top of my head right now because I didn't take a note, but I don't think we have heard mention of where Ukiura ranks among the Espada. He's got, final henchman kind of vibes right now, so maybe 1 or 2, I don't know. We'll see. I was very curious about the Espada, so I did look up what that word means because of the very evident Spanish influences on the Arancars and Hueco Mundo, and Espada means sword in Spanish, which is kind of appropriate given how these new enemies are. They're just very hostile, very dangerous. Also, a little side note about Spanish influences in the Espada. For those that don't know, I both read the manga and watch the canon anime episodes as I go, and I gotta say, I love all the guitar strings being strummed for the Espada. Every time they're on screen, that music is so good. But most of the music in the anime in general is just kind of wonderful, by the way. So, yeah, I'm really liking that vibe that, has kind of been weaved into this culture. It was really interesting meeting some of these new Arancars, even if one of them in particular doesn't hold a candle to Ukiura or Grimmjow for me, and that would be Lupi. And we met Lupi, and I kind of hate him. He's now ranked 6th in the Espada, taking Grimmjow's position after Grimmjow's unauthorized attack a few chapters back. So I already kind of resent him for that, because I love Grimmjow. But Lupi's also so smug for someone who's just doing his best Dr. Octopus impression. He's definitely powerful, but not powerful enough to warrant that kind of smarminess. I just kind of hate characters like this. Still, once he released his transformation, he was taking on some of our Soul Reapers pretty easily, so he is powerful. I just don't like him. Really don't like him. Wanted him to die pretty quickly. I kept waiting for Ikkaku to activate his awesome Bankai, but he didn't. My question is this guy so determined to hide his Bankai from other people that he will not do it even in life or death situations if there are witnesses? Ikkaku, my guy, I love you. But it's okay for people to know that you have a Bankai. Just do it, and just kill Lupi, and I will love you even more. Anyway, Lupi is definitely a character that Kubo wanted us to hate, so it was satisfying to see him get knocked down a peg by Hitsugaya, who had maybe his coolest moment in the series so far, because a big part of Loopy's character has just been pointing out how he has 8 ways of hurting you with this tentacle backpack. So it was so satisfying when Hitsugaya pointed out that his power comes from moisture in the air, and he can get it from literally all around him and isn't limited to like 8 ways of hurting someone, before crushing Loopy in an iceberg. I loved it. I only wish it had killed Loopy. Give Grimmjow his number back, please. You are not worthy. Ugh. It would have been great if he died. That would have been perfect, but alas, he lived, and I'm gonna have to see him again. There was also this new Iran car that we saw be created, and it wasn't really specified if he is in a spotter or not, and in general, he just seems really weird, and the characters definitely noticed how weird he is too. So far, he hasn't really spoken, and he kinda seems like a toddler in his like mental capacity. He's just kind of doing his own thing and spacing out and in his little world and playing with like an insect. I'm not sure if it's like he's just not that intelligent or if he's just an innocent, wonderful creature. Like, I'm kind of getting Android 16 from Dragon Ball vibes, maybe. But that might just be because he's playing with a little animal while everyone else is fighting. But yeah, this guy is interesting, and I'm curious to see more of what's going on with him. But he also seems like secretly pretty powerful and a little scary. So we'll see. We didn't get much, but it was interesting because he was just freshly turned into an Iran car, so maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe there's a period of time once you become an Iran car where you're not fully, in your own head yet, but I guess we'll find out later. But during all this, we also got to see Urahara in action more than we ever had before, and it's kind of glorious. He's just as intelligent on the battlefield as he is anywhere else, and it's fun to see a character fight that way. It's almost like a Naruto fight where it's about being steps ahead of your opponent, and I really dug seeing him just outsmart a brute like Yami. Does this mean I trust Urahara? No. Do I still think he's a really cool character and I like seeing him fight? Absolutely, but he is definitely still shady. Definitely, don't let him trick you. Okay, I don't care how cool the fight is. I don't trust him. But it was great to see him kind of go a little more all out. But the thing that excited me most in these chapters was the rematch that I wasn't expecting to see so soon. Ichigo versus Grimmjow, round 2. I loved Grimmjow's role in these chapters. He cemented himself as a rival for Ichigo for sure. Since the moment he arrived back in our world, he immediately beelined it for Ichigo. He does not care about Aizen's plan. He doesn't care about what he's supposed to be doing. He just wants to finish what him and Ichigo started, but things go a little bit differently than last time for him. Both Ichigo and Grimmjow have changed a lot in the month since their previous encounter, for better and for worse. But this was the rematch that I was really hoping for, just two guys that immediately want to fight the second they see each other again. I loved the ups and downs of the face-off, where at first it's made clear that Ichigo learning how to control his holification somewhat gives him an edge and definitely closes the gap in power between the two, much to Grimmjow's horror. But unfortunately, he's limited to wearing that mask for a very, very short amount of time. And I love restrictions like this after characters receive power-ups, because the new heights they achieve should be difficult to maintain at first. And I'm glad he only can use it for a matter of seconds, and it's fun to see just how powerful he is in that brief time. But the second that mask shatters, he's pretty much tapped out of the fight, and at Grimmjow's mercy again. I also really liked Rukia coming to save him. It's just nice to see her and Ichigo fighting enemies together as Soul Reapers. I loved their dynamic in early chapters working together, but now they're on more of an equal playing field instead of the kind of coach and player dynamic. It's just nice, and it makes my heart happy to see. Still, they don't seem to be enough for Grimmjow, but then we get an unexpected savior, Shinji, from the Visored, and Shinji showing what a masked visor can really do once they maintain the holification was wild. It was smart to show that Ichigo is almost close to attaining this kind of power, but not quite yet. There was just something so casual about Shinji dismantling Grimmjow that was a little scary. Like, I can't imagine what's going through Grimmjow's mind. From how it seems, he's never seen anything like this. He hasn't seen Soul Reapers, visor up and put their masks on. Now he's not only saw it happen with Ichigo and he's confused as to where this new power came from, but then some random guy showing up, putting on a mask and completely dominating him. He must be very confused, like a little scared too. And I think in general, I probably have underestimated the visor a bit in my head. We'll see, but I just wasn't expecting Shinji to be quite like this. He absolutely overwhelms Grimmjow, and it's so satisfying to see. As much as I love Grimmjow, it was great to see him completely, pretty much helpless. But then you remember, we still haven't even seen Grimmjow release his full Arrancar powers yet, and we still won't because Ukiura stops him right when he's about to. Declaring their fight a victory, the Arrancars start taking off back to Waco Mundo. The battle hardly seemed over, but it turns out this whole attack was nothing more than a diversion to draw attention away from Aizen's real target, Orihime. I had a feeling that this was the direction Aizen was going to be going in. He wants her power, whether it's just some crazy healing, or time manipulation, or something else. I knew it. I knew this was where it was going to be going because it seemed we were really pushing Orihime's importance. And sure enough, she's important. But we will get into all of that next time. For now, these chapters were hype. I loved the fights. I loved some of the growth we see with these characters, and I liked seeing some of the new enemies. Things really seem to be coming to a turning point now that Aizen's making a big move, and the fallout of it should be very interesting. But the latest battle in the Arrancar War is over, and it looks like a victory for the Hollows. But I can't wait to see what battle comes next. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I've been a bit under the weather. It might even sound like it, but these chapters were great, and it was very fun to read, and the anime episodes that were adapted from these chapters were also really cool. Next time, we're really going to be taking a deep dive into what's been going on with Orihime during all of these fights, the real objective that Aizen was going for. So look forward to that. That'll be coming very soon, much sooner than usual between episodes. So I'll see you guys then. Take care. Bye.